This is From the Pro, conversations with the creators at the Proletariat. Here's Jim Bratton.
So here we are at a fairly noisy Proletariat as we're getting ready for Drafts and Crafts Night. Dusty and Justin, those are two hard names to say in sequence, guys. Thank you very much for joining us.
All right, thank you for that.
Thanks. So we got invited here, and it's nice to be here doing some drafts and crafts.
And so tell me about the Drafts and Crafts thing. Tell me what are we going to be seeing?
So tonight we're building a little DIY 555 synthesizer. It's basically, we're going to do it like Legos and see if we can walk a bunch of people through it.
We're going to try to make it as simple as possible for people that don't do electronics every day, but we brought some little breadboards and little breadboarding wires so we can go through the few wires that it takes to build this circuit. Well, this is one of the least complex circuits we could find to get everybody started. It's a classic hobby chip, the 555 timer. And so that's what we're building, but we're building a 555 synthesizer. So we're going to make it where the oscillations are at an audible pitch where you can hear them through a speaker.
What kind of frequency range are you likely to have on it?
You can actually sweep through the audible frequency range. These things are normally low frequency oscillators if you don't apply the correct resistance. We're actually using pulse width modulation between the two chips to allow us to sweep through the entire frequency spectrum that can be heard.
Well, to get you more into the audible range then.
Yes, but for the kits, we just have little tiny kit speakers, so it's like you're only going to hear the high end.
You're limited
stuff.
by the frequency range of the speakers, which is mostly high.
Explain to the listeners who haven't seen it before, tell them what a breadboard is.
Breadboard is it allows electronic hobbyists to prototype. That's a good, exactly. Prototype circuits. That allows you to move the wires around and change what you're going to do, add other chips, and
Without soldering.
without soldering, committing to a permanent circuit.
This is no burning yourself unless you hook up something wrong.
That too.
How did this concept come along?
I had been talking to Justin about projects that I have done over the years, and I had actually built a little workshop for Modular Houston, a little more complex than this one because it had where you would make it into a sawtooth wave and do some other things like this. And Justin was wanting to do some things like this also, so we scaled it back to this very simple 555 synthesizer.
How can you do it in one night? But it's eventually the grand dream would be to have a maker community here on the island. It's to be able to start up a maker space, get interest, engage. That is been to maker spaces like TXRX Labs, up in Houston, Creator Space over in League City. Really great places. They've all been around for 10 plus years. They really enable just the community is a communal workspace. $40 a month. You can go use all sorts of hardware. If you get together with like-minded people, pick some locks, build some electronics, get into all sorts of shenanigans. Who knows? Do classes like these on a regular basis.
So you'll be offering some explanation and looks like a slideshow of sorts or a PowerPoint show or visuals to go with it then.
We don't want to, I could easily go into too much detail, and so we don't want to do that, but at the same time we want to provide enough information about what's going on that kind of unlocks some of the mystery of this chip and these small components that we're putting.
And also show people how easy it is. It's you don't have to be an electronics genius to do this. As you look at a picture, you plug some cables into the board, you're making noise, and that enables a lot of people to get more interested in the electronics hobbies.
Yeah, we'd like to make it accessible for just about anyone. All right.
I'm listening, you're talking about keeping this superficially simple, but this could go pretty deep and pretty detailed pretty quickly, couldn't it?
Absolutely.
Because Dusty has an entire packet explaining all the different waveforms, and it's down to the chips is
the formulas for the resistors that you would need to change the timing and to change the frequencies and things like that. It's all in there. So I'll actually make that PDF available if anybody's interested after this. But we can go way down the rabbit hole with this and get more complicated, absolutely. I'm even doing that with my demo. Instead of powering it with the 9-volt battery and using a little speaker, I'm going to hook it up to a PA system with a preamplifier. And I've got it powered with a 5-volt rail, so I can actually use 5-volt CV from my Arturia key step to control it like one would a modular synthesizer.
So you can get close to the real thing then.
Yeah, pretty sure. Yeah, I can make some noise for sure. Yeah, I can hook up the sequencer and let it. That's what I did last night, was hook it up with the drum machine and just make a bunch of noise.
It's like there's a whole scene of circuit vendors and music makers who take old toy pianos and stuff, and basically this 555 timer setup as like the thing that people are building tonight would be an entry point to figuring out how to do that. Is take apart those old toys, is like find trash, repurpose it, is like just make things.
You got a pretty good turnout coming tonight, right?
Well, it looks like we do. Yeah, we're pretty excited about that. Hopefully we can build maker community around here like we're hoping to do. There's enough people that have an interest. It would be worth it.
Well, it sounds like there are plenty of subsequent steps you could take as far as you go.
Yes, sir.
Cost involved in getting one of the basic boards.
For what we built here, what was the cost per kit?
For 20 kits is like I wound up with $7.25. It was like so $7.25 per kit. It's like I think the kits sell online on Amazon and stuff for about $30 a piece.
Yeah, there's about less than $8 in components. Is what
It is like, and if we had done a little bit more planning, it was like we probably could have got some stuff cheaper from Mauser and Digitech as like wholesale.
Yeah.
It's like build 20 kits to do something for the community, and it was like in one day. That's not super crazy. And just you can't beat $7.25.
Yeah, so you can get into this for as much money as anybody wants to put into it, but you can get in cheaply, especially if you can go to some of these hobby places, because some of these components are cheap. These circuits, there's tons of circuits online for people to build, and lots of communities online also where people are willing to discuss the circuits and the issues that you're having as you're building.
We were talking about Forrest Mims too.
Yes.
Because did you ever read any of the old Forrest Mims books? It was like Radio Shack. It was like he was an old electrical engineer. Basically, had all these little kits that you could build.
Yeah.
He like simplified everything out.
Was it like Lafayette? Never mind.
Yeah.
I'm too far back.
Yeah, these were Radio Shack books and kits. I know that I built them in the 80s, and
Yeah, it was like finding all the old kits like that, like books.
Guys, this is such a delightful blend between technology, altruism, and creativity. Thank you very, very much. We'll be around later to capture some actual sounds. Look over your shoulders periodically as this thing is underway. I got to tell you, for our listeners, of course, we're conducting this interview up on the raised stage at the Proletariat. And these guys are smiling from ear to ear. You can tell they are so excited about getting this thing started. Thank you all very, very much for being with us tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This has been From the Pro, conversations with the creators at the Proletariat. Theme percussion created and performed by Patrick Wheeler, mastered by Chris Criticos. From the Pro is a Jim Bratton production. I'm Sierra Sakel.